Podcast. I'm your host, Lady She. Today I'm in yellow. I was feeling real bright and sunny today because I have an amazing guest from Hempstead in the building. And check it out. We in Atlanta today, so we traveling, we doing us.
All those things.
I keep hashtagging Hempstead in the A. And the reason why I keep hashtagging that is because I am proud to say everyone I know that is from my hometown that has moved to Atlanta are doing amazing things. And this person here, he comes right under that title, guy. He comes right under exactly what I just said. He is an author. He is an artist. He is doing so many different things, and I'm just excited. I'm ready to. He think he coming here to get poured into. I'm ready to be poured into. So without further ado, introducing to some and presenting to others, Mr. John Brown.
How you doing? Good morning. Thanks for having me, Shanice.
So happy you came.
Why wouldn't I?
I'm just like, I don't know what's about to happen, and that makes me antsy and excited at the same time. And I can just feel, I always say energy doesn't lie. Like, he has good energy.
Yes.
As Coach Tony would say, high vibrations he has going on here.
Right.
We don't got no place of food, but I feel the high vibrations in the building. So listen, once again, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming. And I'm just going to jump right in.
Let's do it.
If I ask you who is John Brown, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
John Brown is a man on a mission and a work in progress.
Yeah, I like it.
Growing, evolving, doing things I never thought I would do. I tell people all the time, this is not what I thought my life would be. I always thought I would become a medical doctor. I'd be in a white lab clothes, a pediatrician, or psychiatrist, and that was what I wanted to do. But that's not who I am. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I had to pivot and move in a different direction. I'm grateful that I actually was obedient and went in the direction I was supposed to go, because you can bang your head against a brick wall all day, and you're going to need to stick to that for this.
Say that.
Or you can bang your head one good time. See, I'm an experiential man. I got to learn things by touch, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get burned more than once.
Say that.
So once I figured out, okay, this medical thing is not working out, med school is not going to happen for you, I had to let that dream die. And that dream had to die for family members and parents and all of that as well. And there's some embarrassment and shame that comes with that. But then I'm like, I still got to eat. I still got bills to pay.
Hello.
So I said, I got to get out here and work and figure out what life as a non-physician is until I figure out what I'm going to want to do. So it's just been an amazing journey so far, and I'm just looking forward to what's going to come each day. I'm learning something different and getting new ideas and things along those lines. And so, all right, God, I've given my life to you. It's yours, not mine. So whatever you say, it is what it is. And that's just kind of how I approach every day.
Let's go. I love it. So now, what was it like growing up in Hempstead? Let me just say this first.
Yes. The book. It's all in the book.
When I say it's all, A-L-L in the book. I mean, it's all in the book.
So, Hempstead. I tell people I would not trade in my childhood for anything. Let's just get that out of the way. There were a lot of experiences that I had as an adolescent. That's when life kind of got a little confusing for me. But my childhood, growing up financially poor but emotionally rich, I had cousins and aunties and uncles and friends and all of that. So again, we talked about buffers. It was a buffer, against what I really was living. If we really knew what we were experiencing at that time, I think it would destroy us. A lot of times we're oblivious. We don't know. This is supposed to be crushing. This is supposed to be destroying.
Absolutely.
But when you don't know that, and all you know is this is just what we do. We get up, we go to school, parents work or not, we do whatever, and we eat every day. Mm-hmm. We got lights.
These were men.
Right. So if that's all you know, then that's just living. And so it can't scare you. It's not until 40-something years later when you start looking at your life retrospectively, like, wait a minute.
Like, we wasn't okay. People were looking at us like we were crazy because we wasn't okay.
But the beauty of it is that, or the interesting thing was, everybody was in that.
Right.
You know, when we talk about him, so we didn't have a lot. There may have been a couple of families, I would say, that we knew who had money, right? But they were few and far between. There were 2-parent households, more than I probably knew of.
Right.
But mostly what I saw was everybody was dusty, right?
That's the word too. Everybody was dusty.
We all were.
Yeah.
So there was really no judgment. Really.
Right.
We just kind of, this is just what we do. This is how we live. We love each other. We have wonderful Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners and
family stats.
Right.
And keep pushing.
So no, I mean Hempstead is it's the genesis. It's where everything begins, and life isn't what it is for me now if I'm not born and raised in Hempstead.
Right.
But Hempstead is home. I had an amazing childhood. Like I said, it wasn't until people perceived me as being different when I got to maybe my adolescence. That's when it started to feel less like home, and it became a place that I wanted to get away from as soon as I could.
So just help us a little bit, because I want you to get the book.
Right.
Tell the name of the title. Give us the name of the title.
The name of the book is "I'll Eat It If It Smells Good." You gotta say it like that.
So I'll eat it if it smells good. Where did that come from, sir?
You know, I was trying to figure out. I didn't want a corny title at the end of the day. I wanted something that would make people say, "What the heck is he talking about?"
Because that's what I did.
I
didn't even know.
What is he talking about eating? And what smells good? Like people, and my mom was a pastor, so you know how that went. She's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Mom, it is what it is." So people thought it was a cookbook. People thought it was all kinds. They thought it was strictly about sex or whatever.
Right.
Like,
you're gonna have to see,
titles sell books.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing narrative, I think. But I think that title was just, I toyed with a couple of ideas, and I'm already working on volume 2. I already have that title, but I won't tell you about this yet.
Okay. Listen, I like being under suspense. I like it keeps me excited. So
yeah,
you gotta get the book, everybody. Not because we don't know each other. I'm getting to know him in this moment. So I didn't get this book because I grew up with John. This is not gonna happen. Get the book. Okay? Get the book and wait for volume 2. So, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So now, like I said, I don't want you to share too much of the book.
That's cool.
At least give us like a general. You mentioned some people who've been to family home.
Right.
So what was that dynamics like in your?
Well,
you also have siblings too, correct?
Yeah, but they came like 7 years in plus after me. So I was an only child for over 7 years. And it was just me, my mom, and my dad. And we initially lived with my grandmother. Like, we kind of bounced around a little bit, And I'm able to talk to my parents now. It's the beauty of getting older, that you can have grown-up conversations with your parents. And you can ask those pointed questions like, "Mom, what were you thinking?" Or, "Daddy, what were you thinking?"
What was going on at this moment?
Right. But the beauty of it is that, and I write about it in the book, I didn't know that they didn't know what they were doing. I had no clue that they were just winging it.
Yeah.
But what parents aren't doing that? All parents are winging it. They don't know.
No manual.
This baby comes out of you and it's yours, and you are responsible for feeding it, clothing it, making sure that it's safe, all that. So I would say that my parents did a wonderful job with the limited resources that they had. My dad, did manual labor. He saw a car. My mom stayed at home for quite a while. But I was nurtured, and I think that's the critical piece, because the older I get in having conversations with other people, the amount of love that I got from my mom and my dad, it's priceless. Yeah. Because again, you can flourish if you have that. And as I've gotten older and I've had conversations with classmates, and we all were in high school in the 90s, and I've spoken to people, and they were like, "Yo, this is what was going on in my life at that time."
Right.
And I had no idea. Yeah. From the outside, wait a minute, you had it going on. Guys desired you. You had all of these friends. You lived in a nice house. You dressed better than I did. You didn't have to work like I did. I worked since I was 14.
Right.
So worked at wings of things, right? Up until
shout out to the working papers.
I said, right. I worked up until I went off to college. I worked at wings of things from maybe 10th grade until I went off to college. But that was my life, and I'm like, wait a minute, you haven't done none of that. Yeah. It looked like everything was good, and had people reach out to me once I wrote the book, and they DM me and like, yo, you caught hell, but let me just let you know, I was catching it too. A lot of it, and that's the thing. When your suffering doesn't look like suffering, people think you have it going on. People tell me all the time, John, you make it look so easy.
It's like I'm about to
I want you to put these 10 and a half on real fast, right? And
just like, you don't know it's just right now, but okay.
Just walk in these 10 and a half.
Yeah.
And it's easier to walk in them now. Definitely a lot easier now. But I tell you, my adolescence was challenging. But again, I was rooted, I was grounded, I was nurtured. So I had what it took to persevere through that.
So now let me ask you this. I know you mentioned, wanted to, finish school or to be in a position, everything like that. In my thinking, you mentioned a little shamed or whatever. What was it like having to have those conversations with your parents? Now, first of all, let me do this. First of all, I'm impressed with you saying my mom didn't work at first, and my dad did, because where I'm from, either nobody was working and it was waiting on the check the first of the month, and what was it, the 15th of the month?
And we had some of those checks.
Yeah, right?
We had some of those checks.
Yeah, it was either that or both parents were working, and you were like a latchkey child. Right. And if you had your situation, it was usually a thing of dad is really, really making money, and there is no struggle, and that's why mom can stay home. But yours was like maybe a fourth one where mom is home, nurturing, and dad is still trying to make the ends meet.
Right.
So what was that like when they started having more children?
I'm glad you asked that question. We were blessed to live in my grandmother's home. This is when we had multi-generational homes. So grandmother's there, auntie and uncle's there, we're there, we got people coming through from time to time. So there was always somebody at the home. And that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit, because you know that it's a communal effort. So we weren't just on our own until later on. But like I said, my dad worked, and I write about it. He had addiction issues, and we definitely relied on public assistance during that time. But it just didn't feel like we were in dire straits. It just didn't feel like that. Like I said, having the mom that I have and having the dad that I have, imperfect human beings, but they gave me what it took to be able to survive in the world. To get back to what you were asking about siblings, what's that like? Okay, so imagine you have a pizza pie, right? How many slices of a pie should we say?
I think it's, what is it, 15?
11? About 8.
It's only 8?
About 8 pieces in a pie. Typically it's 8 pieces.
I gotta keep going to the ones I'm going to. It's gonna be 15.
Right. So typically you got 8 slices. Now, if we got 3 people, everybody can eat pretty good, right? So the more people you add, and that pie stays the same size, there's less and less. Now, I ate every day. We all did. Let me get that out of the way. But you get the gist is that pizza, unless circumstances change where now you can buy 2 pies instead of 1, but if all you got is to that 1 pie, you keep adding more mouths to that, you gotta start cutting those slices. So now it looks like 11 slices of it. Right. It was supposed to be 8. Right. But now you gotta start cutting them, and because everything there is in 8s. But now you gotta cut it in half, but still, it wasn't impossible. Right. Things got tougher, absolutely. When you add more kids to the equation and you're not adding more resources to the equation, it's just gonna be tough. But impossible, no. But it became more of a struggle. I didn't get as many new clothes as I used to get. I didn't get as many pairs of sneakers as I used to get. I didn't get as much of the time as I used to get. Not that I didn't get any, but again, if you're the only child, everything is focused on you. For 7 years, I had that.
Did you get jealous?
Maybe about that much. I was just excited to have another sibling. My sister Latoya came first, and so I was excited, to have another person in the house. And again, because of that age group, we didn't really grow up together.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like she was a kid, and so by the time she was 3, I was 10. So I'm out in the streets. I'm on Marketing Drive with my friends, and I'm doing my thing. So she grew up with the cohort that came up with her. Me, my cousin Monique, and Yolanda, and Carissa, and Luella, we kind of all grew up together. But having siblings, it was a little bit of a challenge adjusting initially, but it just became second nature. That these 2 at that time, because there's my sister Latoya came when I was 7, and then about 16, 18 months later, my sister Michelle came, and there's a 6-year gap between her and my last sister. So they kind of, Latoya and Michelle grew up together, and Dan kind of was on her own, and I was kind of on my own. So it's interesting that
is interesting.
I wonder sometimes what it would have been like to have grown up with a sibling that was closer in age. I mean, what would it have been like for me to have a brother or sister that was a year or 2 younger?
Yeah.
You never know.
Right. So now you went through some things in reference to. Would you say you went through stuff in reference to your identity, and if so, like what age did you feel that?
The word I use in the book on the back
is Negro-philic. That's the word I use.
Tap that, please. Tap into that.
Negro-philic. So I knew that I had the capacity to find men and women attractive. I knew that. I would say since 5, 6. Like I always.
So really at 5 and 6, because people say, and I feel like that age, people say that all the time. So what was it that had you like?
Now, mind you, we're in Atlanta, right?
Right.
And I don't go out like I used to. Again, I'm getting older, but I've met people who were married, had children, all of that. So sexuality is a very fluid construct,
Right.
and it does exist on a continuum where you have people who are strictly homosexual, strictly heterosexual, and then those who kind of pendulum in
Right.
between somewhere. But so it just varies. I mean, it was mind blowing to me when I moved here because I didn't do anything in the LGBTQ plus community when I was in New York.
Right.
I didn't club. I didn't do anything. That's, I believe, what kept me alive. I tell people that all the time. I was afraid of New York City. I was afraid of getting lost.
Yeah, good reasons. Yeah.
I didn't trust myself.
Yeah.
Had I had access to Manhattan, had I had access to the boroughs, I likely wouldn't be alive today.
And why you say wouldn't be alive today?
Because I didn't know anything. And I think that's what gets people in trouble. Is that you're trusting, you're vulnerable, you don't know anything, you're just looking for love and you're looking for somebody to maybe touch you or whatever. And you don't know to protect yourself. You don't know what you should be doing. And sometimes there are predators out there that prey on people.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a blessing that I wasn't afraid. Fear is a good thing.
It can be good. Thank you for saying that. Come on and get John.
It kept me from going to places that I should not have been. I was such a bookworm. I stayed home. I read books all the time. I listened to music all the time.
We're gonna tap into that too.
Right. I that was my life.
Right.
So I knew, like I said, that I had the potential to find men attractive at a very, very early age, and I just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know if I should do anything with it. Certainly, growing up in Hempstead, I went to Faith Baptist Church. Shout out to Faith Baptist Church. That was my church home. I promise you, Reverend Howell was the absolute best pastor I have ever had. And I stopped comparing people so that I could continue having experiences because he was the litmus test. He was the standard. So if you didn't meet that, I didn't want to do it with you.
Yeah.
But growing up, you've heard stories about Sodom and Gomorrah and things like that. And so I'm like, I'm really going to hell.
I can't
I'm like, but I didn't even touch nobody. I'm going to hell.
I just had a feeling.
Right. And I'm thinking, contemplating. So I didn't know. But again, it didn't matter what was going on out in the world. When I got home, I was good. And like I said, when I was young, Hempstead was a safe place for me. I didn't feel like I couldn't go here or I shouldn't go there. The world was my oyster, and I was fine with that. It's just that as I got older, I had my own internal conflict. And a lot of what I experienced was self-inflicted. You know, I did not know, and there was nobody to talk to. Now they have the Trevor Project, and they have all these different resources and celebrities who come out or whatever. They have all these different resources that just did not exist in the 80s and 90s. In Hempstead, not at all.
No, not at all.
And maybe out in Suffolk County somewhere, but it wasn't popular in Nassau County. So, what do you do with that when you feel isolated? When you feel like you're the only person, right? And obviously, as I got older, I figured out I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely dumb.
But you just do the best with what you have, and that's just kind of what I did. Was I sad a lot? Yep. Was I depressed a lot? Yep. Had I had suicidal thoughts? Yep. I just didn't know what to do with this thing, but I still have to move forward. I can't just sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
I still gotta get up. I gotta go to school. I gotta go to work. I gotta hang out with friends. Having things to do was an amazing buffer. Having a good, solid core group of friends was a good buffer. Having loving family members and extended family members. This is a time when your next door neighbors are popular. They force you to do something wrong.
Absolutely.
This is a time when you might.
We need to bring that back, but
you
might get shot.
Right.
Nowadays.
Exactly.
You can't reprimand nobody, child.
The kids will shoot you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The kids will shoot you. And the parents will fight you if they find out that you so much as stop their kid from fighting. But back then, you know how it was. You on the other side of town somewhere. You think ain't nobody knows.
Yep, somebody called your mother.
You get home.
Where you was at?
So tell me, what was it? How was the part?
It's the truth.
Did you? Well, tell me about being over there at that place over there. Did you say hi to so-and-so when you were over there? Don't lie to me.
And you like, I think
that's the Hempstead of my youth.
Right.
That's why it is home to me.
Right.
It is the genesis, the beginning. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not ashamed to be from Hempstead. Let me look into the camera. I am not ashamed to be from Hempstead at all. When I got older, especially when I went to college, I'm like, wait a minute. All the stuff that they told us about Hempstead is trash. Like, I'm out here competing against people who went to private schools, Catholic schools, better schools, and I'm outperforming them. So the learning that I got, the education I got, was sufficient for me to get out there into the real world, and to function, and to perform. So I had difficulties, yes, but it wasn't all bad.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that.
Right, absolutely. Thank you for saying that because it's so true. And if you haven't subscribed thus far, you will see that I have had a nice amount of people come on from Hempstead for exactly what he's basically sharing. We do have somewhat of a stigma, placed over our town. We have some amazing people, not just the ones that live in Atlanta, but people who just talking about another young lady who are doing different amazing things still in Hempstead. Even some of us who are moved away are still doing the work in Hempstead. So shout out to everybody from our town who is pushing through and doing great things. You mentioned college. One of the things that I love what you just said just now about going away to school, and please share which school we went to and scholarships and the sports and things like that. But I had someone come on before that was basically saying kind of like the opposite. Like they were great in school, in high school, all the grades and everything, but when they came to college, they were like, the professor made them feel like you're not equipped. When they're like, oh, I gotta know this stuff because I was valedictorian, I was this and that, but basically showing like your education wasn't that great. So you saying on your end, it feels like you were the type that's like, okay, this is a little bit of challenge. I just gotta perform. I gotta make it happen. I gotta adjust to it. Where did that come from?
Part of it, and I'm glad you asked that question. Part of it, see, it's not just the school's responsibility to teach the children. That's the root, because we spend about 6 hours plus a day there. And I keep going or?
Yes.
Okay. So we're in school 6 hours a day, so we think that the school's supposed to do everything.
Right.
What helped me was, especially as I probably when I got to college, I started self-teaching, right?
Okay.
Reading books that weren't a part of the curriculum.
Come on.
Becoming curious.
Yeah.
I want people to be curious about life in the world that we live in. It'll take you places. Right? My mom, she went to the library, and I didn't go to the library a lot, but I challenged people. I think every student in the United States, if not in the world, should have a library card and should go to the library at least once a week. I can only imagine how much better equipped I would have been had I done it. The self-learning, right?
Yes.
But that was a huge part. Was my mom went one day and she came back home with this book and she throws it on the bed. I can't read this. It's just too much lust in this. I can't read this. And it was James Baldwin's Giovanni.
Oh, James Baldwin.
I've been in competition with Jimmy Baldwin my whole life.
Yes.
When she brought that book to the home, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a man that has a thought process that's somewhat similar to mine, and he's doing the things that maybe I might do later on in life or whatever, but that kind of set me off. You can dive into a book and I love memoirs. I love biographies and things along those lines. I want to know, how did you get hope? Because we all struggle.
Absolutely.
And I want to know, what did it take for you to get from here to there? I want to know what's between the pages. It's nice to see somebody arrive and become a CEO and this and that, but I want to know the
How
journey.
to get there, yeah.
And that was the problem. Wow. So I started getting books, especially when I went off to Hofstra. I was in that library. I read so much, Maya Angelou, read poetry and just a lot of Black authors. Because again, we didn't read a lot of Black authors unless it's like Black History Month.
Right.
We had read Song of Solomon and things on those lines, but they taught us classics, Catcher in the Rye and Pearl and stuff like that. And so that's where you have to learn how to teach yourself.
Yes, I love that. Teach yourself.
Get in that library, figure out what the topic is, whether it's automotives, whether it's fashion, whether it's where you want to be a jeweler one day. There are books that can set you up while you're in junior high school and high school. So by the time you get to college, you may already have a college degree with the amount of books that you've already read. I think the problem is with kids from underserved communities, not just Black kids, but I think kids in underserved communities, they're not self-taught. And so we're behind our counterparts. And when we do get to college or whatever, we've read a fraction of the books that they've read. School is going to tell you what you have to read. What you teach yourself outside of that is on you. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's why our youth are behind. Is we have to keep pushing that message and teach yourself. What are you interested in? Ask your children. We're going to take care of what school says. We're going to kill that curriculum. We're going to knock it out the park. But what are you really interested in? And feed that from very early age so that you're preparing it. I know some of the work that I've done. I worked for a pharmaceutical company. My undergrad's in Africa. I got that from Oxford. And I worked for a pharmaceutical company in Freeport. And the man that owned it, he and his wife owned it. And his daughter, by the time she graduated high school, she was a published author in the journal. See? You think he didn't put his daughter on? He found out that she was interested in sciences, and your daddy owns a pharmaceutical company? She's like second author. And you know how they do it on papers, like the names that appear first, those are the PI, the important people. She's in high school, and she's like third author. People whose names are after her have degrees that she didn't
Right.
But that's what we have to do, is we have to set our children up. Mentorship.
Absolutely.
People will teach you anything if they don't have to pay you.
Right.
Your son is interested in automotives? Go to the automotive shop down the street. talk to someone and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
if my son is interested in learning about cars, would you mind mentoring him? If that means he has to sweep the floors
Right.
for 2 hours or clean up for 2 or 3 hours, and you'll spend an hour showing him this and that 2 times a week or on the weekend, then do that.
And do that.
My daughter is interested in becoming a medical assistant. Go to the doctor's office down the street. My daughter's interested in volunteering. She wants to become a nurse, or she wants to become a medical transcriptionist or whatever. And she'll do whatever you tell her.
Mm-hmm.
If that means she got to
She
answer
want to be in the
phones,
environment.
right? If that means she want to answer phones, if you want her to tidy up the
Papers.
magazine, whatever. And again, setting them up. You don't have to wait to get to college to get an
Say
internship.
that one, John Brown.
You don't have to wait. Think about the years that if we invested in our youth that way, year after year after year, by the time Shanice they graduated from high school, they would have a clearer picture of what they want to do or what they don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd be better equipped.
Absolutely. It was a program that we went through in high school.
Worst first?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did too. I was trying to remember.
Uh-huh.
Programs like that where the teachers, they care enough about you to expose you to different things. So you can highlight, because I'll say this, there's some people I know that in school, they know exactly what they want to do as grown-ups, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
But not all of us have that. Some of us are really trying to figure it out. And these particular teachers and programs that you had in school, they kind of, highlighted certain things you probably would have never thought of. They didn't mention it because it wasn't your parents' world. It wasn't your world. So they're saying, oh, well, you don't have to just be an attorney. You can be, you know how to type, right? So maybe you can be, a stenographer or whatever.
Right.
And you type, well, I do already know how to type. How much did you pay a year? Oh, shoot. Wait, I can't go to college, but I don't have to go to college.
Exactly.
And when no one brings it up to you, you're not going to know.
You don't have to go to college. You have to advance your career beyond a high school diploma.
Right. Boom.
If that means that if you know that your interest is in real estate, then go and do a 10-month program.
Mm-hmm.
Get that real estate license.
Or less, because they got
whatever it
a bunch of
is,
stuff now.
and get out there and start selling some houses.
Absolutely.
So I don't force anything on anybody. I'm big on education. I'm big on teaching yourself as much as you can. I'm big on being curious about things. But if there's another way that if you can finesse the situation where you don't have to go to 8 years of schooling or 4 years of schooling, as long as you're able to provide for yourself and to provide for your family, and it's legal.
Yes, and that's legal.
I don't have no problems.
And you get to the end result.
I don't have no problem with that. For me, for the type of work I wanted to do, I had to go to college to do that. But everybody's narrative is a little different. Everybody's life trajectory is a little bit different. Mentorship, I want to jump back to worst to first really, really fast. Because the year I went into high school, I graduated in 95 and I went in 91. When we graduated from middle school, there was an attorney, I think her name was Kim Hardy. She actually was a classmate of my mom's in high school. That year, they had put out a Newsday had put an article out, and on the front cover, this is us getting ready to go into high school.
Right.
Front cover of Newsday, Hampton High School, worst high school on Long Island. That's the message we got right before we went in. She was our keynote speaker in 8th grade. She had the newspaper in her hand and tore it up on the stage.
Oh, I felt that.
But Worst to First was one of those types of organizations. I'll say it was a saving grace for me. Really,
Me too.
really
Me too.
was.
Shout out to the struggle. Absolutely.
Right. A friend of mine got me involved in that. My friend Patricia, she was in Worst to First. I didn't know anything about it. And that's why it's important to have friends that are progressive, that are doing things, because even if you're not doing something and you want to hang with them, you got to do what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's positive mandate.
That is.
That's positive mandate because she was involved. I'm like, Trish, what you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What you doing after school? Well, I'm going to Worst to First. What's that?
Right.
Oh, it's this.
Just like that.
We do that.
Connections.
Can I come? Sure, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there and you have all of these people, Samantha Stroman, Lori Heather Housley, you have David Walker, Jennifer Batson, God rest his soul, Angela Zimmerman. I mean, you have all of these people who worked for the Youth Adult Participation Project through the Nassau County Youth Board. And I'm like, where were these people? They care about, we going on retreats, we're learning about community service learning, we're doing projects and presenting it to the schools, everything.
Awesome. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget
Man,
it.
that
You felt
was
nurtured, you belonged to every, brainstorm. It was just a good environment.
you didn't want to leave. Like
No.
you got to those meetings and you didn't want to leave. And I wound up working for them for the first 2 summers when I was in college. I worked for them. And then I wound up getting internships the last 2 years that I was in school. But that program was
the catalyst.
everything.
Yeah.
It was a nurturing environment. Because mind you, I'm a keeper. Well, I say all the way loud, all the way fun. I had some teachers that I didn't like.
We definitely had some teachers in our school that didn't like kids.
Right.
Just say it flat out.
It is what it is.
They didn't like children.
We weren't always the best kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we had fights and things like that, and we had my thing was my mouth. See, I wasn't really good at fighting, but I could beat you with my mouth.
Yeah.
I could beat you with words, right? And sometimes I'd be a little mouthy or whatever, but for the most part, I was compliant, obedient. I knew to get to class, be quiet, do my work, maybe snicker, tell a little joke here and there, and keep it moving.
Right.
But there were a couple. I wrote about one, and I never mentioned his name just because I don't want to possibly get sued. But he was, I know you said no profanity, I get it, Shanice, but he was a gun. I'll put it that way. He was not a pleasant person at all. And I will say he was.
Think he was racist?
No, I don't think he was racist. I think he was definitely chauvinistic. He played favoritism toward female students. He would make inappropriate comments of the sexual nature, veiled. And we went at it one day. Wrote about it. We went at it one day.
You were tired.
And my cousin Monique was in the class with me, and that was the thing that really said it. If he said something to her, I would say something.
Mm-hmm.
If he said something to me, she would say something. That's why even when we were in elementary school, they normally never put us in the same thing. Once they found out that we were family,
right.
These two separate. Don't put
Don't
them in
put
the same class. But other than that one particular teacher, he was just, had I not passed that state Regents examination, he would have failed.
Just because he could.
But he couldn't. My mama covered up there at the parent teachers conference. Every other teacher, John is amazing. He's conscientious, he's consistent, he's a go-getter, we get in front of this man. He has potential and he's this, but
that potential word, I don't like him.
But him and his cousin, they get together and I'm like, Mom, okay, that's harsh. I'll give him
but
that.
He ain't right.
But yeah, he would just make these sexually inappropriate comments. And I'm like, oh man, if I didn't care about my coin and the coins that's coming.
Right.
But I said, I ain't even gonna name it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the man's alive or dead or not, but thankfully he was an anomaly. He wasn't the standard. Most of my teachers were really good. You mentioned Miss Sherwood. I would love Miss Sherwood.
Oh my gosh. She was like another mom.
Who else did I really like?
Another mother.
Miss Day wound up leaving.
These teachers. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to this.
Representative
Hempstead. We grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. Right. Like he mentioned earlier, I'm laughing when he said Dusty. A lot of us didn't have a lot, but we had a school where there were teachers who showed if you allow me to pour into you, I know you can reach your greatness.
Right.
And that program in particular was one of those places. And I'll say that for me because I had two. I have a Salvation Army, which is literally down the street from my block, which I grew up in one of the worst streets in Hempstead, as they say. But literally right down the block was a safe space for us as kids. Right. Where we had a black mentor. Shout out to Mr. Adams. He became a coach.
He was my sixth grade teacher.
Yeah, he's awesome man. So he made you understand that, yes, when you walk down that street back to your house, you may walk past a memorial from a kid that you knew that got murdered. But tomorrow when you come back, we're going to learn about this. Or I'm going to talk to you about this because I know you can make it out here. So shout out to those teachers and him that took out time to pour into us when they know we were going home to situations that weren't okay.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us, because of them and words, the words that they poured into us resonated. We understood that we might have run into other teachers that made us feel like, you're from Hempstead, you're not, yeah, I'll probably see you on TV.
And not
incarcerated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you have those other teachers that are like, listen, if you just push, and you use the tools that we're giving you, you're gonna be fine.
Okay.
So, shout out to them. I just want to say that.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, without teachers, like, we're lost. And I think
Pay them more money, please.
I was just getting ready to say that.
I wish I could open up my own school. I might.
Teachers do amazing.
They're amazing.
They deal with a whole classroom of kids all day. As a parent, you might deal with 1 or 2. They deal with 30 plus.
Yeah.
30
and
plus
more.
Different personalities.
You're one teacher for this subject,
Exactly.
but you're the teacher in the school. So you're everyone's teacher.
And you have to manage 100 plus personalities, 100 plus different narratives, 100 plus people who may have an incarcerated parent like I did, or may be in extreme poverty, or maybe they might be molested at that time. We don't. These students, because like I said, I've had conversations with people after writing my own book. I had people DM me and say, yo, I was catching hell. I was going through it too. I've learned about people who were molested that I never would have thought had anything, because again, if you dress your misery up, then you're not miserable.
Making it look pretty.
We make it, we not,
it look pretty.
that's just a human
trait,
is that we don't want people to know what we're experiencing. So we'll put on the jewelry, we'll put on the makeup, we'll put on the nice shoes and the nice pants, and we'll smile. Maya Angelou has a poem called The Mask. If you ever listen to that poem,
powerful. And it's real.
And she talks about we wear a mask that smiles and grins when inside we're dying. And a lot of us were at that time. A lot of us, my friends, as we've gotten older, you too?
Yeah.
You too? How long? I was at your house. How many times? I didn't know.
Yep.
Hempstead is a place of resilience.
Absolutely.
That's
right there.
That's what I love. Is that
absolutely.
Because if the people of the community, regardless of where you grew up at, regardless of whether your side of town was considered bad or not or whatever, if the people weren't resilient, you have more murders than you currently have. You have more rape. You would have everybody outside fighting in lawlessness, and you don't, because that's not what Hempstead ever represented. People do the best with what they have.
Absolutely.
Some don't, but for the most part, I'm convinced that as a whole, the spirit is one of, I'm going to make the best of what I have. And if I can't have it, I want my children to have it. Or I want my neighbor's children to have it, right? How many of us got pulled in? I write about Mr. Buddy, or I call Uncle Buddy in the book. Crazy man, but I love him dearly. My friend Rashida's uncle took me in under his wing. He didn't have to do that. So it's not always in the house. My dad wasn't in the house.
Right.
Something Mr. Buddy saw in me. He never called me John. He called me Jim. He never called me John ever. Jim. And after a while, he's an old, so we don't correct him. We don't correct elders. So I was Jim till the day I died. But what did he do? He was the one that taught me how to drive. He was the one that taught me about work. He worked at Belmont Racetrack. So in order for me to drive, I had to help him clean out the stalls. I had to help him wash the horses down. And I had to get up early. I was getting up at like 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
Wow.
Because that's what he would take me when I was in high school. And I tell this story. I missed out on going to the Belmont Stakes. I had worked up to it. And I mean, those horses are huge.
Yeah.
and I gotta hold it while he's rinsing it down, and of course the horse is moving, and I gotta keep pulling on the rein to get it to stand still. I'm like, this horse just lifts its head up. Now mind you, I made it to like 100 pounds, right? I said, if this horse just does this, I'm gonna be over there. But I did what I had to do because I wanted to go. That was the cherry on top. Mind you, he was teaching me how to ride. He's like, I'm gonna bring you to the Belmont Stakes, which is the same as the Preakness, which is the same as the Kentucky Derby. It's on that level.
Right.
And I have seen pictures of like Susan Lucci and all these people who are taking up to his horse. I'm thinking, I'm going to see these people. He was a man of his word. He said, look here, Jim, you can stay the night at my house and we can get up in the morning and go, or you can go home and then meet me like I normally would. He said, but I'm going to tell you like this. If you're not outside at 5:30, I'm not honking the horn. I'm not ringing the doorbell, baby, I'm leaving. I set the alarm for like 5:30 p.m. instead of 8 a.m.
Oh shoot!
But I'm gonna get to the Belmont Stakes one of these years. He's no longer here.
Oh, I love that.
But you talk about community.
Yeah.
It
takes a village.
He saw me.
Yeah.
And he saw that I wasn't a bad kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are many bad kids. I think a lot of kids are just misdirected.
We got it.
Now I'm gonna keep it. I gotta keep it all the way alive and all the way funky. The work that I do as a social worker, I've seen some evil people. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that there are no evil people in the world. That's a lie. There are people who will sit here and smile at you, and as soon as you turn your back, they're gonna bust you over your head and take everything you got, including your drawers. So I'm not stupid. I'm not gullible. I have hope for people. I have hope in humanity. I expect the best out of people.
Yeah.
But I've seen the worst.
Yeah.
And so I recognize it when I see it. But that man, Uncle Buddy, saw something in me, took me under his wing, taught me how to drive, spent time with me. And I think as a young man, we need men. We need men. I love women just like I love cook food. But y'all can't teach me everything.
It's the truth. Period.
Just
it's
like
women,
just like young girls, you need female mentors.
Yes.
What am I going to tell you about your menstrual cycle? Other than to go get some pads or some whatever y'all use. I don't know. Tampon. So
I don't know this.
I can tell you where to go, but I can't tell you the mechanics.
Yeah.
Because that's not my lived experience. Right. So there's certain conversations that women can only have with women.
Absolutely.
And there are certain conversations that men can only have with men.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful for the men that poured into me. I'm grateful for the men that pulled me aside and said, you know what, that's not right. And I'm grateful for the ones that said, keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
I like how you help your mom. I know your dad's not here.
Yeah.
I like how you're helping your sisters. Like I got that. And it wasn't always from family. It was from people who became family.
Yeah.
So I'm here for all of it.
Love it. All right, so now, you mentioned your dad went through his complications, battling with his addiction. Mom still having to hold it down.
Yes.
Your mother ended up going to school. She became a nurse. Yeah. So the older brother, two sisters.
Three at that time.
Okay, 3 at that time. So mom has 4 children.
Yeah.
Figuring her life out, and you're figuring out your life because you're the oldest. So what was that like? You had Mr. Buddy, and then you had other teachers' reports or things to you to keep you kind of grounded in reference to who you are. But what was that like? When you really chose like this is the direction I want to go when it comes to what I want to do for the world. When it came to social work, what made you go that direction?
Social work is my second career.
Okay, let's go with the first.
My first career, again, I wanted to be a medical doctor, and so again, the family fed into that narrative. This is going to be the first doctor in the family. And let me read you what happened when I didn't go into medical school.
Okay.
Let me just read this for you.
I gotta get this book.
Okay, so this is the prelude.
Okay.
Well, you must be dumb. These words were spoken to me by my dear Uncle Cookie, my cousin Monique's daddy.
He definitely named names.
In the year 2000. See, I was supposed to be the first doctor in the family. Uncle Cookie couldn't understand why I had graduated from college in '99 and not matriculated into a medical school. I was happily working a regular job like everyone else, trying to explain that I had gotten my behind handed to me by the MCAT, the medical college admissions test, twice, did not clear up the confusion. So, it was hard. The whole family, like, John working. What you think he's working? We saw the pictures when we graduated from Hofstra. Why is he not in medical school? So again, it was shame and it was embarrassment. And he didn't mean no harm. Again, if I kept reading, you would see that he's just my uncle.
No, we all have that.
My uncle has he has no filter.
Yeah, but it's in love.
But he's the same guy that when Mrs. Sophie comes around, he's spending $50+ on any kid that happens to be around.
Yeah.
So, and again, he's another one that poured into me in different ways.
Yeah.
See, it looks different. Sometimes it's sitting down with somebody and teaching. Sometimes it's just by living, you're teaching people. And I think that's been the saving grace for me is being observant. I watch everything. I watch everything.
Yeah.
I'm observant. Because if you make a mistake, I'm not going to make it. I got a job, my first job, observing, listening.
Right.
When they asked me what my salary requirements were, I didn't know. But I heard somebody who was talking to them before me talk about what hers were. And they said, well, we'll call you later. So I said, okay, John, that's too high.
That's too high. Come on, John.
So
help somebody right now. Observe. Pay attention.
Oh my God.
Listen.
God gave us 2 eyes and 2 ears and one mouth.
Boom.
I've learned as I've gotten older to be
Not
silent. But I've always loved the sciences because my mom is a nurse. And so I grew up with physician's desk reference books and books with medications and anatomy and physiology books and stuff like that. So that was like second nature to me. To go in the book and see the skeleton and learn about the different circulatory system and the heart and all this other stuff. So I said, all right, if I'm not going to become a doctor, I got to do something. And I said, I got to work. I got to eat. These loans ain't going to be deferred forever.
Better say that.
So my first job was as a telephone sales representative for a medical supply company. Oh my God. Then I worked for Estee Lauder, for a subsidiary of Estee Lauder. We were doing quality control on makeup.
Okay.
And did that. And then we moved here in 2000. I went back for a year. Lived on my own.
Okay. What was that about?
Couldn't get a job here. Atlanta is now, I mean, my God, I've been here since 2001, so 21 years. But when I first came here, Atlanta wasn't the Atlanta that it is now.
It flourished like this.
So, and it definitely wasn't really big in biotechnology and sciences and stuff like that. So, I had applied for jobs before we moved and came here. But with the degree in biology, I was looking at, Morehouse, Spelman, Emory, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, trying to work in one of their laboratories. And that just didn't pan out. And I said, you know what? I had another situation, which I may or may not talk about if you ask me, like. But I went back to New York, and that was the critical year. 2001 was a critical year for me. That was 9/11 and all of that. But
yeah.
I learned that I could be on my own and be okay. I learned that I didn't need mama right here beside me. I had already learned that daddy couldn't be there, right? So I learned in life that it is true that no one is going to come and physically save you, but I also learned that help shows up.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was just out here by myself.
Yeah.
And I really don't like when people try to give themselves credit for everything they've done in life, as if they did everything.
Come on here, John. He just cursed at y'all.
Nobody helped me.
Yeah,
I did it by
one woman show.
I did it by myself. I struggled by myself. Nobody ever helped me. Nobody ever gave me nothing. If you got an opportunity, somebody gave you.
That's a fact.
So I just don't buy into that
Yeah.
anymore. But going back in 2001, I worked at that pharmaceutical company. Remember I talked to you about the man that owned it and his daughter's second author, right? You think she didn't get into Emory? You coming out of high school as a published author in a science journal. Come on. But so I worked there for about a year, and my God, that year was just everything. And then I moved back in 2002 officially, got a job at Emory finally in medical school in the cardiology division. I worked there, and then I went off to LSU in 2005 and got my master's degree in social work and finished up in 2007. But I've always, my mind still thinks like a scientist. I'm always trying to put things together and figure out how things work. So that never changed.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm always going to be a scientist. My brain is just wired that way.
Yeah.
But it certainly helps me in the work that I do now because I'm always critical and analytical and trying to figure out how I can make a system work better. I'm really big in systems. Like, how can I make the system work better? What information does this person need to do their job better?
Right.
What do I need to do to help this person do their job better? So always trying to put the pieces together. I love it.
What's in you is going to come out of you, I always say.
I love it. Exactly.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So now you're officially, you said you've been here 21 years? Mm-hmm. It went fast, didn't it? I know it did, because I can't believe we haven't had a daggone reunion in 25 years. Like, yeah, I'm yelling at somebody.
My class had one. I didn't go.
You didn't go? Why?
And I was class president, so go figure that out.
What? What? How? You wasn't even involved in the...
I found out about it late. I found out about it. That would have been a 20th year. I found out about it. I didn't know anything. I found out about it when I was in grad school. I got a phone call. My cousin Monique gave she gave her my number. And that's how I found out what they were doing. But I'm like, I'm in grad school. I can't step away. I wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
And part of it was I don't think I had healed really. And I think that was a huge part, was that I wasn't ready to see a lot of my thoughts.
Now, when you say you hadn't healed yet, like healed from what part?
I would say that I had, and I gotta keep it alive. Like, high school I had a lot of traumatic experiences in high school. A lot.
In reference to identity, the bullying?
Not even identity. That was like on the back burner because I wasn't doing nothing about it. Right?
You cannot be doing anything, right. But still the mental part, figuring things out can take a toll.
That was secondary, to be completely honest. I mean, of course you want intimacy and things like that, but that really, the bullying exacerbated it. It made it a lot worse than it had to be. Having been in counseling, which I'm a big proponent of, go into counseling, go into therapy, right?
Help you need.
Many of those people were traumatized. I get it now. I didn't get it back in 2005. So I wasn't ready to deal with that.
I respect that.
You know what I mean? I wasn't. Now I get it. I can't say you can't. It's highly unlikely that you could be so content with your life that you're going to make somebody else's life better. It's highly unlikely that if you're so content with what you're doing, that you even have the time to let me see what buttons can I push in this? What are her vulnerabilities?
Let me aggravate her today.
And let me just jump on those. She don't like let me remind her what she does.
Come on, John.
She don't like how she looks, let me remind her of her eyes. She don't like her skin complexion, let me just clown at it every day. She don't like the way that she dressed, let me tell her that those are car canals or baby fat or whatever it was at that time.
Baby fat, not baby fat.
Oh yeah.
He went all the way back.
All of that. Yeah. And I don't know why we as human beings do that. Now, mind you, I said a couple of not so nice things to people. Definitely. No angel. Full disclosure. But it traumatized me quite a bit.
I can appreciate you saying this because, listen, a lot of times what happens is we get to a certain place in our life and we're kind of like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see these people who did this to me.
Mm-mm.
But you were like, no, I'm good actually.
I didn't want to.
I'm actually good.
I vowed I would never go.
I love that.
I said I didn't care when they had me.
I
I'm
respect
not going.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend Rakina was like, John, you have to go at some point. And other friends, you know, my friends Melissa Belmonte, Patricia Washington, Dana Matthew, Rakina Stewart at the time, and Dwayne Douglas. I had good friends, you know, and as I got closer to graduating, it got better.
Yeah.
A lot of those bullies dropped out, and I didn't care.
Right.
I should care, right?
Well, why should you care? Let me ask you that. Why should you care?
Because as a human being, you shouldn't derive pleasure from somebody else's demise. And
It doesn't mean pleasure.
You know.
It doesn't mean pleasure. I had posted something about this the other day that a young lady was saying, like, you know, people who have done me wrong, you know, as a woman of God, I'm nothing to you. I don't think about you. I don't hate you. I don't wish anything bad on you or anything. I pray the best. I hope the best of you, but
Right.
I'm nothing to you. Meaning, I'm past it. I hope you're okay because of how you treated me when you were going this way.
And I can't judge that for anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not speaking universally. What I know is I should not have been celebrating that this person is going to be undereducated. You know what I mean? That's a problem.
Yeah, that's different.
That's a problem.
That's different.
But I was able to breathe at the same time. You know, knowing that I wasn't going to have to come in and see you every day.
Right.
Now I might have to see you in the streets. And I was that kid that I would go here, here, and here to get around.
I know that's a fact. Have no desire to see you.
That's just what it was. If I was going this way, the only thing that would keep me going in that direction is if I was with a group of friends and I had to. But if I was by myself and I saw you down here,
I'm good. I'll get to my house soon.
I'm gonna wait till you leave.
Right.
It was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And some of it was my own thinking. You know, that's something that I realized as I got older was that we talked about it earlier. The seeds were planted.
Yes.
But I kept watering it long after they were gone. And so you literally got to pull that thing up by the roots, throw it away. That soil is still good, but now you get to plant the seeds you want to plant in it.
It covers yourself.
I get that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I got closer to graduating, I started caring less. My friends were they were instrumental in like, Tom, forget them.
Shout out to the roof.
You know, just forget it. I mean, my friends had arguments behind other people. You know what I mean? So those are the type of friends that I had. And without them, I don't know what my high school experience would have been. If I didn't have that core group of people, I don't even want to think about what it would have been like.
Do you ever look at your life and realize, like, okay, because I'm looking at you talking, and I'm thinking, grew up in Hempstead, watched his dad, experienced watching his father, who he loved him, go through a time that he could not control. Because addiction is very real. You know, addiction, it's an experience, especially for a child who they love this person so much. They saw them in their element when they were taking care of their family, when they were, coming with the gifts, going to the things, and then it just go away. And then they have to see their mom be strong because she still has to raise these 4 children. She still has to be, that spouse or, significant other to her husband or to, the man that she's made children with and made a family with. And then you're the oldest. So you still have to be that person that's like, I have to make it seem like we still have it all together because now I'm kind of put as the man of the house. And then you also have to remember, I still too have to have a life. I still too have to progress and be the example to the family, maybe the first doctor. Oh, wait, that didn't work out. So now I still have to carry on. And growing up from this environment and still being able to progress, do you ever look at your life and say, this is how I know God has to love me? Because other people's stories have gone a whole other way from everything I just said.
I think about that every day. Is there ever a day that I don't thank God for grace, that I don't thank the Lord, that I'm not grateful for the Holy Spirit that abides with me. I'm not strong enough to do this by myself. And again, when you don't know that your life experiences are supposed to destroy you, you just do it.
Right.
Now, when I read it, I'm like, oh my God, how? I know how.
Right.
You know? But I made it look easier than it was. But having something to look forward to is also something that will help.
Right.
Because I'm sure there are people that are dealing with issues of their sexual orientation, or whether they're dealing with being bullied, or whether they're dealing with parental incarceration, or whether they're dealing with rape, molestation, drug addiction, whatever it may be. If you have something that you can look forward to, even if you're not there yet. For me, it was my education.
Yes.
That was the thing that I held on to. If I can just get into college and get a degree and become self-sufficient, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'll have choice. That's what we all want. You know, I wanted to get away from Hempstead. My first college I went to was down in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Did that North Carolina Wesleyan College for 1 whole year. That's all I needed.
Right.
And
just
getting there was a blessing, because my mom didn't drive. My Aunt Shirley drove me to my Aunt Ann's house, who lived in Garrisburg, which is 45 minutes from Rocky Mount. My cousin Angie and her good friend drove me and dropped me off at the college and left on me.
Right. They're like, good luck, fam.
And that was it. And of course, I knew I could have reached out to him, but I didn't.
Right.
I said, I can handle this. But getting away from Hempstead showed me that Hempstead exists everywhere.
That was a bar.
It wasn't like I could get away from people who were not common. They are from North Carolina, they are from Virginia, they are from Brazil, they are from Australia. People who have tendencies to be mean exist everywhere. And they are Black, they are white, they are LGBTQ plus, they are female, they are male. So you can't run. You got to be able to be who you are wherever you are.
Yes.
I'm at a place in my life where you can put me anywhere and I'll be good.
Say that. I love it.
You can put me in South Central Los Angeles.
You're going to figure it out.
This has red in it, but it's not all red, right? So, but you can put me anywhere.
Yeah.
With the upbringing that I had,
yes.
Growing up where I grew up, having the friends that I had, learning what I've learned, and still being one who thirsts for knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm still curious. I'm always reading something or trying to learn something. I'll be okay wherever I am. You can put me in a war-torn country. You can put me in Ukraine. I may not like it,
right,
but I would be okay. And I owe that to all of those life experiences, even the ones that were unpleasant,
right,
even the ones that were traumatizing. Getting into counseling, getting into therapy, and I did that when I went to grad school. If you are in college,
come on, sir,
or university,
talk to them.
You likely have a student health center. That student health center likely has therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. Go talk to somebody. You paying for it anyway.
Yes, you are.
There's student fees that you're paying. I couldn't afford counseling. I didn't think I could, but heck, the work I do now, even if you got Medicaid.
That's the truth.
Even if you got Medicaid, you can still get some level of counseling. It might be 10, 20 sessions a year, but you can get something.
Yes.
What I had was a praying mother. Before I had counseling, before I had that ever, before I ever sat on somebody's couch and cried till my eyes were red, until I cried until I couldn't breathe out my nose. Before I had that opportunity, I had a praying mother.
Yes.
I had praying aunties and praying uncles. I had people who spoke words into me who never stepped into a church.
Sir.
I had Mr. Buddy.
Yeah.
I had his wife, Miss Brenner. I had drug dealers.
Yeah. Real talk.
Yo, son, you still going up to the house? Oh, we see you.
That's
Keep
right.
going.
Push through. Push through, little man, all kind of stuff. That's it. Come on, John. Come on.
I had
I
that.
felt that thing.
I had that. So I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm only getting better. You know, when I was younger, when you're younger, you don't know what they say. Oh, it gets better with time. You don't know what that means.
Yeah, yeah. To get in.
But then as you start to age and you start to get some years behind you,
Mhm.
oh,
You're like, that was the truth. I didn't know.
it didn't kill me.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't think those individuals ever intended to kill me.
Right. They were just going through their stuff.
I think they were just dealing with their own stuff, and that was the easy one.
Right. So now, oh my goodness.
It still hurts. It still sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta find somebody who you know, and it's easy. It's a fight you know you're gonna win every time. Because you know John ain't gonna say nothing.
Right.
It's a sucker move to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
To engage with somebody who you know isn't gonna engage. But you can't do it to me.
That's right. Boom. Hello. So now,
music.
John, the artist.
Yeah.
Talk to us about it. Give me a little something with this. Because my passport.
Stay ready. Get up and go.
Stay ready. Where did this come from?
I've always been musically inclined in some capacity. I used to sing in the Alfred A. Clayton Memorial Junior Choir at Faith Baptist Church under the direction of Sandra Vance. God bless her soul. She passed on. But I was always musically inclined. Music was always, a lot of us. Music was a part of our lives.
I don't need to sing.
What?
Mm-hmm. She can blow.
Monique always sings something.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Even now.
Right.
But listening to music, it didn't matter how poor you were. Everybody had a record player in the house.
Universal language.
Everybody had that crate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
these young kids,
The
they don't know anything about
They don't
that.
know about the final. Let's
And
go.
plus, they have older siblings.
Right.
So my siblings tell me, John, I was singing Nina Simone one day at my friend's house, and her mother looked at me like, "What you know about that?"
Okay.
I was singing Phyllis Hyman
Right.
because somebody. Your younger siblings and cousins, they're watching.
It's fun. Yeah, absolutely.
And so my mom had, the Jones Girls and Paul and Funkadelic and Jackson Fives, and as we got to the 80s, she got my favorite artist of all time, Anita Baker.
Yes.
I mean, and then Sade, and I started listening to CD 101.9.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
They don't have that anymore. They went off the air.
Yeah.
They went off the air probably like in 2000 something on this. But that was my station because I could study to it. Because I would go to other people's houses and put it on. And they would go, so they would come and they might have it on Hot 97 or something like that. But when I get there, it's on CD 101.9 or whatever. I leave.
Mm-hmm.
I get a phone call. Was you in my room? Was you in the living room? Yeah. I know you were in there. Right. Because John, you listen to that music, they ain't got no words. That's my cousin Lil Cookie, my Uncle Cookie's son. You listen to music that don't have no words. That's how I knew you was in my room. But, so music was always there.
But music was also probably like your safe space as well. You dealing with these nuts that you see going
Mary J. Blige.
Yes.
The queen of hip hop soul. That drop. Man.
Yes.
I said, who is she?
Okay.
But my life was everything.
Yes.
And I don't care what anybody says. That is her best work.
It really, really is. That's a bar.
And most of the people that rock with that,
everything.
The crazy thing is, most of the people that rock with that record or that album, we were all going through hell.
Yeah.
When you watch her documentary,
yes,
everybody who was involved in that project,
yeah,
from Diddy on down, Mary's dealing with addiction and abusive relationships. The producers, the songwriters, they all were like, "Yo, we didn't know it at the time." But
I was making sense.
But I was dealing with a breakup.
Right.
I was dealing with my baby mama issues. I was dealing with, and I think
everybody can relate.
And we didn't even know that we were resonating on that level.
Yeah.
But that CD, I played that thing to death. And I just didn't know. I'm going down. All of those records on there. But the one that I love, Be Happy.
Yes. Come on.
That record, I'm like, I want to be happy.
Yes. I feel you. I get you.
I want to find a love that's mine. It would be so sweet.
Yes.
What she say? I asked for a sign from my sweet Lord above.
Okay.
I know the answer is in front of me, but when you think you're in love, you only see what you want to see. And all I see is me for you, and you.
Come on, if that ain't one of the realest verses.
Music was a saving grace to me. I listened to Mary all the time. I listened to Anita Baker, specifically her Rapture album.
Yeah.
That is 38 minutes of. That's a 38-minute masterpiece. Nobody has ever made a record like that, and they never will make an album like that. Ever.
Love it.
38 minutes.
Love it, y'all.
But she puts it down.
Yes.
So Anita Baker, Mary J. Blige. I resonated with just the alto voice. There's something about the alto voice that is soothing to me. Sade, depressing. If I was in somebody's house, even my own, especially is it a crime? Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But then I said, wait a minute, John, she was in an abusive relationship.
Sis went through some stuff.
Now I said, oh my God. Now I bump Sade hard. But back then I was in so much pain myself that her pain resonated with me in a different way.
Powerful.
Mary's pain didn't hit me like that. There were people that I know who couldn't listen to Mary.
Right.
Because they were going down. They were in that dark place. I could bump Mary all day. But if I heard Sade, I'm running to the record. I'm trying to turn this off. I have to. Yeah. Now I'm good because I'm healing. Right?
Love that awareness, John. Thank you.
But music was that thing. If no matter how many F words I got called, no matter how many times I got teased because my clothes were old, because I had big feet and I was small in stature, because I hung out with girls, because I didn't have a deep voice. No matter how many times I got hit with that, I could always go home. And I could always get my little CD player. Before that, we just had the tape.
Y'all see the videos that make them jokes about our age group when we had the tape and we going crazy because it don't pop?
I'm finding somebody.
Y'all in a real struggle.
Before I could afford CDs because of BMG, right? I was dubbing somebody's tape.
And yes, we said dub.
I had to. You play it on one, you record on the other.
That's right.
And I would just play that thing over and over, like between that and CD 1 and 1.9 and the old classics that my mother and them used to listen to, Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, like all that good music. So it was always there. I never thought I was going to do anything with it.
Right.
So I left it alone. But like you said, what's in you is in you, and it's this. So I graduated from grad school, and I just started hearing melodies.
Come on.
And I just started, literally, there's no beat there. There's just a melody, and I'm starting to write to it. And it actually sounds kind of good. I don't have the strongest singing voice in the world, but the process, I love it. And so I just started writing, and then my sister Michelle, shout out to Michelle, she was the first person to ever do any references with me because I'm not singing on nothing.
Right.
I might sing in a recording session just to show you what the note is or whatever. I can do the little something, but for me to sing a whole record, that's not my thing. You got to know your gift.
Hello.
And I'm not going to embarrass myself like that.
Right.
But my sister has always had a beautiful voice.
That's
and
awesome.
So she would, we would just go into the studio. I learned about studios in Atlanta and back then you could get 2 hours for like, maybe 100 something. Now that ain't happening. But that's what we used to do. We used to go to shout out Soul Asylum Studios as well. That's why I do most of my work at.
Awesome.
And we would go in there and record things, and then I learned about companies that you could upload your. I did Taxi, that didn't work. I did what was that thing called? Blaze Track, that didn't work out. Blaze Track was cool though because here a lot of times people will write records and then you have to get somebody to reference it for you.
Right.
So that the artist that you're trying to pitch it to has an idea of what it sounds like. They don't want to just read lyrics.
Right.
I want to know, what does this sound like? Is this word elongated? Is it shortened?
Right.
You know, that type of stuff that you can't get from just reading lyrics.
Absolutely.
And so what Blaze Track allowed me to do was you can upload your record to their site and you buy credits. And so they have different singers, songwriters, producers who are on this platform. And for X number of credits, they will listen to your record
Right.
and give you feedback.
Love that.
And
Cool.
I did that. I got close to having some placements a couple of times.
Right.
But every time it fell through. And that is devastating. But that was God. Because that particular record, he didn't want out there. That's why it had to fall apart. I mean, I was literally getting producers together. I had gotten different, I did the work, reaching out to different producers and getting artists together and all of that stuff. And it fell through and it hurt. So I said, I gotta stop trying to pitch to other people and I have to have confidence in myself.
Do your thing.
And I said, all right, John, you're not singing enough.
He's like, let's make that clear.
But perhaps you can rap. Perhaps you can do that. Not even perhaps, you can do that.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I don't sound like DMX.
I don't have the voice.
My voice.
He went back to the old John, thinking.
I don't sound like Jay-Z, and I don't sound like Wayne, and I don't sound like DMX, and I don't sound like Kanye. People that are laughing at me, and my voice is. And then I said, John, have you ever heard Eminem?
Okay.
And then I said to myself, John, I know you don't listen to the radio a lot, but when you do happen to turn the radio on, have you ever heard some of the rap that's being played now?
John. He like, no shade, but I'm just saying.
Get in that booth.
Get in that daggone booth. Get there when you belong.
And I said, okay. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I got.
Yes.
And I stopped trying to pitch to other artists. I mean, I wrote some amazing work. I really did. Maybe it'll come to light for an artist one day. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm gonna play one before we leave, just for you though.
Okay.
Not for y'all. But I just started believing in myself. I said, well, who wants to listen to a 45-year-old rapper? I said, John, first of all, you don't look 45. I don't even feel 45.
That's the fact. Shout out to the 40s, man. We winning out here.
Age is really relative to me now.
Right.
And I'm like, I can see myself making it to 90.
Mm-hmm.
You
better see it before you see
I
it.
can see myself making it to 90.
Let's go.
Because I don't feel old. Even all of the experiences that I've had in life that were designed to break me didn't. So I feel like I got what it takes for longevity.
Yes.
Because I've already been through the worst.
Come on, sir. Help somebody.
The worst things that could have ever happened to me in life, physically to me, have already happened. Because they can't happen now. Because now, I use these when I have to.
That's it.
I prefer to use this.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to use the words, right? But now, if I have to fight, I will. I prefer not to. But if I have to, I will. You're not going to chump. Those chump days, those chump days are done. Like I just don't operate that way.
Love that.
You can be a godly man, which I am, and still hold your own.
Yes.
And still hold people to a standard.
Right.
People think that in order to follow Christ, that you got to let people crucify you.
Come on, John. God told us to be bold. He told us to be. We are peculiar people, but we are royalty.
I'm not doing
Ain't no punk royal. Ain't no people that's. People guys ain't punks.
You don't.
They bold.
You have to be.
Come on, John.
And you can do, and it doesn't make you less of a believer because you say, "This is the line that I've established for myself."
That's the one. We keep hearing that word.
We cool as long as you stay over here. If you come on this side, these are the parameters that are in place. Now, if you can't work with these parameters, you're gonna have to stay.
Pick a red or blue pill
on the other side.
Right.
I don't mind you coming into my world, but coming into my world has expectations, has responsibilities. Just like if I'm gonna come into your world. If you can rock with that, you can play on this side all day with me. But
come on, John, make it plain.
But the minute I don't feel right, and the minute you don't respond to me telling me, hey, sis, that was bro, that was a little harsh.
Right.
The minute that doesn't matter, I'm not asking you to leave. You're going to.
It's a right. So,
and no, I thank God that I don't throw people away the way I used to. I can welcome you back if you can get yourself together. Before, if you mess with me one time,
it's no backseas. It's return to sender.
I would cut people.
Yeah, it's cool growth. You've grown.
Now I'm like, you know,
I love that.
There's still good in that person. I messed up, and I've had people welcome me back.
Right.
But I came back with knowing what your expectations were. And I'm okay. I don't expect anything from somebody that I'm not willing to give. I'm gonna respect their boundaries. If you say I don't want no person on my podcast, that's just what it is. I'm not gonna come up in here and say, well, if you want this interview,
right.
This is your house. This is your platform.
I love that.
And you decide the parameters. And I'm gonna rock with it or not. I showed up.
Right.
But I knew what your expectations were.
Right.
And I honored that.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to do with each other.
Teach the people.
And if you can't do that, and if there's nothing that I can do or say that's gonna help you see that you need to abide by these things in order for us to rock with each other, then I'm gonna have to say, you know what, peace be with you. I wish you the best, and that's it. But
so now, all right.
But just to jump on the music though real fast. I'm in the process of pitching it now for music licensing. Because to be honest, I don't really care whether the record's ever on the radio because radio don't pay.
You better say that one. Hello with streams.
Radio don't play. It doesn't pay. Right. So I learned about music licensing where I own my stuff. I own the master recordings for my records. And I can now, what they call exploit the record, meaning I can reach out to music supervisors is what they call them. Right. These music supervisors, they are the gatekeepers for Nike, Gatorade, for Tyler Perry Studios, for Paramount, for anybody that needs music for their work. How many commercials do you listen to that don't have music in it?
Come on. Shout out to Cuzzo from Hempstead. His music was on something recently, and it's pretty dope. Listen,
that's where
there's ways to do this.
That's where the money resides. So I'll be pitching my last record, Passport, to a music supervisor on the 4th.
I download it. I got it.
So, but it took me a while to have confidence.
Gotta get that boldness.
So many people did that. And you hear that story a lot about people who wanted to break into the music industry and they kept pitching to artists and kept getting stuff, rejected. And finally, they had to go. I think Young MC might have done it with Bust a Move or whatever. I think a lot of artists, they tried doing it the traditional way. Let me write for you, and then you run with it.
Right.
But that artist, they may never.
Right.
They may never want it.
Right.
So then you just stuck with records that are just sitting there collecting dust. So now I have projects that are mine. I own the master recordings. Own
your stuff.
And now I can get my stuff. And Passport is a strong enough record. The hook is just bomb.
The hook.
And the hook is what sells records.
Say that one. Boom.
Okay.
See, this is from the man who named his book what?
I'll eat it
if it smells good.
But you gotta smell.
I'm sorry. I'll eat it if it smells good.
Right.
Market King over here. So you won't listen to what he's saying right now. Come on.
That's what you gotta do. So if you have records that you've written if you're an artist and you just have records that you've been trying to pitch to other people and it's your voice and it's your beats that you own, look into music licensing. Because they need music for
everything,
reality TV shows,
everything,
commercials, movies,
Yep.
for sitcoms, for games,
yes,
for
absolutely.
all of that stuff. Music is such a universal language
It is.
that it's needed. And so I didn't know about music supervision and music licensing and everything. And I said, you know what? Now I don't have to wait on anybody.
Right.
Now you got to catch up with me. So if you say, you know what? I got this dope car racing scene in my movie, and I think a 15 snippet, and they don't use your whole record.
Right.
They may loop a 10-second frame 5 times and throughout the commercial.
Right.
I don't care.
Exactly.
Do I care?
Somebody gonna hear it.
As long as I'm getting paid. Now, one person that you know who's made a lot of money off of music licensing? CeCe Peniston.
That song is forever.
We met,
Forever.
we connected via Instagram. I haven't talked to her. Shout out to CeCe. I haven't talked to her in a while, but finally, she's still eating on it.
To the end of time, that song forever.
That song I've been
That was a
in
very good example.
Mattel commercials
Everything,
with toys,
everything.
and so it's not just during Pride Month.
Right.
You know, I said, wait a minute. They use it in Dear White People,
Yeah.
and every time
she getting the bing on that cell phone.
So, and that's the thing.
Another ping.
You don't need to have hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Passport might be my one and only.
Come on.
But it's good enough to do that. It's good enough to do that. And of course, it won't be my one and only. I'm still thinking about it.
They got the gist of what you said.
Every song that you write isn't going to be a hit, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
You're not entitled to have 10 number one hits, 20 number one hits. First of all, artists are not writing all that on stuff anyway.
But we know.
And that's the beauty of collaboration.
Right.
That's the beautiful part about collaboration, that you bring in 5, 10, well, not, it shouldn't take 10 people to write a record, fine. But if you got 5 or 10, or, you know, on one record, maybe 2 or 3 people, maybe. But to bring those minds together, you might be stuck on the hook. This person can come in and say, well, wait a minute, why don't we just flip this around? Oh, okay. They might be better at writing verses than you are. But it's still going to be one cohesive record, so I'm excited about it. So yeah,
stay excited.
Bet on yourself. Like,
yes.
Really bet on yourself.
Bet on yourself.
Because nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to really, like, I don't know why God chose me to do all of the things that I do. Like I said, most people don't get, you're lucky if you get one big thing. But all of the different apparel lines he's giving me, including this last one
I was going to say
came
that.
up, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that. You don't, like, most people, you don't get that. You're lucky if you get one. And so for him to give me the ability to do books, and to do music, and to do apparel, and to branch off into jewelry, and cosmetics, and all of those other things, I'm telling you, when this thing pops,
when?
And it's coming. I feel a shift.
It's a shift.
And
listen, don't have me going to a praise while we sit here, so we gotta close out.
I don't mind that at all. I feel a shift. Recently, something happened that made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I got mad at first. And then I talked to my mom last night.
Holy.
We had a Bible study. And I said, Mom, I know, but I just need to run it by you. And she said, you already know.
Come on, Mom.
When you're uncomfortable, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
God is getting ready to elevate. He's shifting things around. So, because if you stay comfortable, you're going to stay where you are. And somebody once told me, if you stay on the wrong track too long, you get run over.
Absolutely.
You got to switch tracks. You got to pivot, right?
Come on, John, and help somebody today.
So I was made uncomfortable, but I said, you know what? God, I can endure it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do because you already got everything lined up for me.
It's intentional.
So I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm going to go ahead and knuckle up, and I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and put this thing together and ride this thing out until you transition me to where I see myself doing a lot of speaking engagements.
Yes, come on, John.
God is like, go ahead and get the PowerPoint presentations together. So, okay, go ahead and start doing your research. That's the research. You don't get articles because you don't want to go out there and just talk.
Right.
You want to have some kind of
Research
cite some studies as it relates to literacy or teen pregnancy or whatever the case may be. So, and I know how to do that. I've been prepared to do that. It's just that now I'm getting closer to it. Am I afraid? Not really.
Do it scared.
I'm anticipating, and that's the thing. You gotta let your learn this in grad school. You gotta let your emotions follow your behavior. It doesn't matter. It does, but it doesn't in the sense of if you're sad, do it sad.
Yeah.
Fry that chicken while you're sad and feed your family. Okay?
Period though.
Go to school. Mm-hmm. I was depressed when I was in grad school. Mm-hmm. Still got the degree.
Oh.
Did it while I was dealing with depression and going through counseling. Don't think that you have to be perfect in order to move forward. Don't think that everything in life has to be exactly as you want it in order for you to move forward in life. Because if you wait for that, it will never happen.
They say you will make God laugh, tell me your plan.
You will go to your grave and your coffin will be heavy with all the things that you could have done but did not do. And all that talent and all those gifts will be in the ground 6 feet under. I tell people I want my casket to be light. Yeah. I want to know that everything that I was supposed to do was done, and it was done well. And to be able to rest. Yes. I don't want to leave anything undone. So I'm intentional, right? Yes. Before we live in the more, when you don't know, before you wake up, you're living in more of a mechanical way. Mm-hmm. You're just kind of getting up and going through the motions. But it's not until trauma sometimes that you wake up and realize, wait a minute.
Where's life going?
I'm doing this thing, regardless of whether I like it or not. This is my life. Yeah. Regardless of what the circumstances are, this is my life. And nobody's going to physically come into this body and do anything. All right, God, okay, I get it. I hear you. Mm-hmm. Now help me figure this thing out.
Absolutely. Mr. John Brown.
That's me.
I just knew. I already knew. I'm like, something about to happen. Because it's, God is with me with visions. And things are happening right now. So I'm going to try to wheel this back in. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. Like, it was just that this one part right here was just so much confirmation for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight.
It was absolutely my pleasure.
Very inspiring. I'm encouraged. I'm absolutely encouraged. And I know there's more for you. But I want you. Can you tap into that? Or not yet? What you're wearing?
I can.
Okay.
I can.
Real quick.
This is my latest design. I don't want to stand up too much, but it's called Giaco, DJIAQO. And this is, again, something that came to me just out of nowhere. Right. I'm minding my business. That's the thing. God gives to me when I'm minding my business. I don't bother nobody. I work and I'll hear melodies. I work and I'll get a vision and I'll hear something. And I wanted something that could rival Nike and Adidas one day.
All right.
I prayed for that. I said, God, I want something that could be a footwear line, but that could also translate into sweatshirts and hoodies and jewelry and all these other things. And so I didn't say anything for a while. Again, boss moves us out. I don't speak until the ink is dry. Okay?
Hello.
I don't speak on anything.
Hello, somebody.
With non-family. And even some family members I don't talk to about it. Certain people, I know who. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this? Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? Oh, that's fire. I like that. That's okay. Oh, that's what it means? Because this means, Giaco is a word that I created. It means perseverance, resilience, and the ability to circumvent obstacles.
Love it.
And
that's for you.
Yeah, like this part right here, this is the head piece. This is the heart. That's what you need. You need brain and the heart.
You need the brain and the heart.
And again, this is something that
this just happened. This is exclusive, okay?
This is within the
last. You saw it here on Hot Mic. Hello.
This is within the last month or two. Like I was
See?
good. I was good.
He's talking about my business.
I was good. I'm like, with everything else that God gave me, and you can find that on my website, gearofthescribe.com.
Love it.
I said, God, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't give me nothing else, I'm good. And I think it's
No.
it's the gratitude. When you have a spirit of gratitude that says, God, you've given me so much. I'm not asking you for anything else. What I pray for now, I pray for health. I pray for my loved ones. I pray for people to be blessed. As God will see fit, I pray for people's eyes to be opened. I pray for people to get away from this either or Democrat or Republican type ideology and to see the world for what it is, which is a mixed bag. I pray for people to not be blindly allegiant to nothing and nobody, not even me.
Right.
I want people to be able to make their own decisions. I want people to pursue the things that mean something to them. I just pray that God would align them. I pray for alignment. I pray for meeting with the right people, being aligned with the right people. Because I said, you know what? God showed me clearly. He said, John, you're going to walk away from a lot of money. Let me just tell you that. John, you're going to blow people's minds. You won't be the first person to do it out. But you are going to walk away from checks that people want to slap you for walking away from. But you'll do it for my sake. And when you, and I said, wow. I mean, there are people, Shanice, that I've always wanted to work with. There are people that I've always wanted to collaborate with and meet and possibly have become mentors to me. But I said, God, I don't know these people. I've never met them. So if you say no, come on, to whomever it is, if you say no to Oprah, if you say no to Tyler Perry, if you say no to Babyface, who is such a musical genius, wrote doggone near the whole Wait to Exhale soundtrack, which is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. If he says no to anybody, Queen Latifah, who I'd love to meet, if he say no, that ain't the road I want to go down, it does not matter. If he says no to Auntie LaVon, aka Michelle LaVon Robinson Obama, and if he says no to Uncle Barry, aka Barack Hussein Obama, if he says no to them, right? It is what it is. I want his will. Say it. I want his perfect will. That's it. And if what I want doesn't line up with what he wants, then it's a wrap. That's it. I don't want it. It doesn't. I don't want it. Yes. Come on, John. When you get to that level of surrender, I think that's where God pours more and more and more into you. I mean, He has taken me in a direction that I never thought I would be in. Within the last year or two, things have started not making sense, and you start taking stock in life, and you start looking at, is this who I am? Is this the man I want to be? Is this serving the purpose of my life? Are these relationships serving the purpose of my life? Does this job serve the purpose? Right. Surrender means everything belongs to God and nothing belongs to you. That's it. Oh my goodness. And I'm so grateful that I've arrived at that place, and I didn't know it at the time, but I started seeing, again, shift. I wasn't getting invited to certain events anymore. I wasn't getting phone calls from people that I used to get. I wasn't going to places that I used to. All the stuff that the old folk used to sing about and talk about in church, the things I used to do, I don't do no more. No. And now I'm in that space. Like, wait a minute, I never saw this happen. Ever. But you live and you learn and you surrender to the process and you keep working. Faith without works is what, Shanice? DEAD. Dead. It's dead. Come on, sir. And I'm not about that life. I'm about movement. And if I can inspire somebody, if somebody learns something from this podcast, that's fine. I certainly hope so. I prayed, we prayed before we even started, and I wanted that. I wanted God to be glorified. It doesn't matter what I do. Absolutely. It's like Mary and Kiera Shear said, it's the God in me that I want people to see. I want people to see that, because I want them to yearn for Him and to yearn for the Lord like I do. That's what I do. Forget me. This flesh is gonna die. We made of dirt. This ain't gonna do nothing for me. It's cute. It's fine. Yes, I understand that. Beautiful. But this is all fade and wither away. What are you leaving behind?
Behind.
What is your legacy? How many lives are you touching and affecting? Who's going to be talking about your podcast 100 years from now in the books that you're going to write? Who's going to be talking about that? That's what's going to last.
That's it.
We're going to leave here.
Woo!
But what's the legacy? The legacy. That's what it is. I want people to yearn for the Lord and yearn for God like I do. And I want them to be glorified using my life. Absolutely. I'm not perfect, and guess what? I'm not anybody's cup of tea. I get it. If you don't rock with me, God bless you. It's okay.
It's all right.
It's all right. I'm not mad. You have a right to rock with who you want to rock with. If my message don't resonate with you, I hope that somebody's does. I'm not everybody's teacher.
Right.
If somebody else can come and drop some and plant some seeds, hey, I just pray that when you're ready, that the Lord will show up.
Right.
That's all. It ain't gotta be me.
It gotta be me.
I'm one man. I am one man. The world is 7 billion plus. Find your tribe.
Find your tribe.
Find your tribe. Find your people. Surround yourself with people who are gonna pour into you.
Absolutely.
Not just pour into you, but correct you when necessary. Because people don't want to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
Balance. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pour into you, but when I see some foolery, I should be able to share that with you as well.
Absolutely, be received.
Because we need both of those things.
We absolutely need both. Good God.
Absolutely.
John, where can these people find you? How can they order the book? How can they get the clothes? Not just this one,
right.
The other clothes.
Well, Giaco is coming.
He's an entrepreneur. Listen, he doing it.
If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at John the Scribe. My online store is gearofthescribe.com. You can also find Gear of the Scribe on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. I tweet every now and then at John W. Brown 1. And the book is available in Kindle and in paperback on Amazon. And again, the title is I'll Eat It If It Smells Good. Now, if you don't do the sniff, they're not going to know what you're talking about. So you got to do that sniff. But yeah, that's kind of where people can find me. I just look forward to greatness and what God has in store. Because a lot of it, I just don't even know is coming. That's the beauty. There's beauty in not knowing.
Absolutely. Listen, everybody, you heard it here. Mr. John Brown of, where do I start? The author, the artist, the entrepreneur. You know, all those things and more. Because listen, you heard him talking.
And the man is after God's heart.
The man is after God's own heart. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you support him. Make sure you get this book. I'll eat it if it smells good. Trust me, you won't contact me like, really, Shanice? And I'm like, I told you. But you heard it here first. Pronounce the name of the clothing line.
It's Giaco. DJIAQO.
Yes.
It's coming for you.
Tap in on all things John Brown, okay? And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for all who came on. Let's support one another. Let's support the positivity, okay? Let's support iron sharpens iron, because I'm telling you, I'm about to go back and listen to this and take some notes, because when he said the shift, I want to say, hey, Shondo, and have a moment, but we're going to keep it professional.
And shout out to Hempstead.
Yeah, shout out to him. T for life.
It's the genesis, it's the beginning, and good comes out of Hempstead. It always has. It always will. And I definitely want to shout out to all of the people who are still in Hempstead doing the work. People like Pam Parsons. People like Unique Red. Absolutely. You know, those are just two people. Siobhan Gordon. I see y'all. I may not be there.
Right.
But I know what's going on in Hempstead because y'all are putting in the work.
Absolutely.
Anita Reynolds, Trell, up there at the high school with the volleyball team coaching. That's family.
Absolutely.
That was my downstairs neighbor.
Come on.
When I lived on Seaman Avenue.
Doing it.
Y'all are doing it.
Love
Nicole,
to see it.
you know, y'all are in that school, Hempstead High School, the elementary schools doing work, and I thank you for doing work that I'm not able to do at the moment. But I thank y'all for pouring into the youth and being an inspiration to them.
Absolutely. Listen, put the work in, people. Put the work in. Shout out to our social workers as well, because my goodness, some of y'all, when I tell you I saved some lives, y'all out here saving lives. So big shout out to you guys to continue to do your work, and let's just keep the positive energy going. You know, we're great together. We're just thankful. You know,
Now,
thank
one
you
more
so
thing.
much.
Since you did mention social work, and I mean this, if you are in a position where life is just beating you down, if you feel hopeless, if you feel helpless, if you feel like life isn't worth living, I want to encourage you to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It used to be this long number. Now you just got to dial 3 numbers, 988. Just like we dial 911 if it's an emergency, if you need to talk to somebody because you're having some sort of behavioral health crisis or just need somebody to talk to, if you can't remember anything, you can remember 988. You can speak to a licensed professional. Most of them are licensed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I just want to plug that in.
Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you guys are following him. Make sure you check out his website. Awesome. Get out and get me a few things also. Get the book, y'all. Listen. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna end with get the book. But listen, everybody enjoy the rest of today's day. I don't know what day
Today's the 20th. 10/20.
Today is the 20th. Today is Today's
Thursday.
Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And like I said, once again, thank you to all the supporters who come on the podcast thus far. So want to subscribe. Thank you so much for subscribing. And let's keep this good energy going.
And thank you for using your platform for good. Thank you for doing your best to glorify God and to bring people in whose narratives can inspire. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Okay. Everybody enjoy, and I will see you in a few later. That can enjoy the beauty. Show them the shirt while I go.
All right, there we go. Bam. Let me give it to you. Bam. Bye bye.
He said, "Get my good side."